Mic working? Money. This is a sculpture I made out of Baby Bell cheese wax. 2 years ago, I began posting these recycled figurines to social media. And today, I have over 120,000 followers and have reached millions of people online. Now, growing such a following on social media has taught me the power it has to grow a brand's reach and has truly changed my life. And I wondered how I could use this passion of mine to benefit the environment. And I found my answer during my internship at Whidbey Island Grown, or WIG for short. WIG is a local food cooperative that provides access to locally sourced and sustainable food products. Now, this is great for the environment, but if we want to reach more people, we need social media. So as their social media intern, I was tasked with revitalizing their platform and boosting engagement. But how do we go about doing this, especially in the winter months when their local harvests were down and staying relevant was important? So I needed to uncover what were the specific obstacles preventing them from being successful online, and then what strategy could I develop to help them overcome that? So the barriers that I identified that were holding them back were limited resources, time constraints, and a lack of expertise. Oftentimes, it was a company's unfamiliarity with social media platforms, coupled with the lack of resources to fund a marketing team that left their presence neglected. So I uncovered these barriers by conducting a comprehensive literature review, as well as drawing upon my own experience as a content creator to uncover them. And then I spent 10 weeks developing and implementing a strategy that I like to call the formula. Step one is to identify the problem. Our posts were heavily skewed towards advertisements and promotional material instead of engaging story-driven content. And we're on Instagram and Facebook, not trying to see ads. So I thought, let's conduct a demographic analysis to see who's actually following this, because I can't make a post if I don't know who my audience is. So what I found is that it was mostly women in their middle age to senior age brackets. I thought, mom's into local food. How do I contact them? So I went out to Whidbey Island and I actually talked to them. And what I found is that small corporations have the ability to really make intimate connections that large corporations do not. And they told me, we love WIG because the food tastes better, it's fresher, it's better for the environment, and we like to support local farmers. And that's the story that I set out to tell on our Instagram and Facebook by posting content that was authentic, like a fresh loaf of bread made by one of our top bakers. It was human. We posted the faces behind WIG that made it possible. And finally, it was engaging, like sending yours truly out to make some reels about customer testimonies. But that's not all. We needed to engage the community as well. So we reposted all of the stories from local farmers in the community on our story, and we responded to every single comment that they made on our posts, because conversation builds community online. And as you can see, it worked. Our Instagram reach in winter of 2023 was 22% down. Fast forward to this year using the formula, we were up 38%, representing a 60% increase in overall Instagram reach. Moving on, our profile visits, which represents the number of times they clicked on our Instagram or our Facebook, was up 111%. And finally, our Instagram follows was up 66%, representing new people joining the WIG community. What we also found is that our posts matter. Our reels that were under 30 seconds far outperformed everything that we posted, and they often included people or food, like us packing a WIG order or sharing a delicious recipe. So I'd like to leave you with some takeaways. I learned to ditch the sales pitch. People want to see content that is authentic and original, and you do that by defining your audience and talking with them. Finally, as we move into this digital age and start using social media more, so will sustainable brands. And they're going to be spreading their eco-friendly messages to everybody and encouraging environmental stewardship. But right now, there is a gap in knowledge about how these brands in the local food scene can effectively use social media. And that is why I conducted this research. to give them a fresh start and lead to a social media eco-revolution. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to acknowledge, first and foremost, my co-intern, Maddie, who you guys will be hearing from later on, my faculty advisor, Teresa, my Capstone cohort, and my peers, my WIG supervisor, and finally, my family. Now, I would like to open the floor to any questions you guys might have.
Okay, with all these different platforms out there, how do you know which ones to target when crafting your formula?
It's a great question. So this gentleman asked me, with all these platforms out there, how do I know which one to use to craft a social media strategy? So you guys saw my demographic analysis, and you saw that it was mostly people 35 to 65 plus. So that essentially rules out something like TikTok that is very centered towards Gen Z. That's why I focused on Instagram, which is mostly millennials and some of Gen Z, but primarily Gen X, Y, and then Facebook, which is all 65 plus. So. And that's where I focus my.
Is there statistics supporting that?
Yes, there are statistics. If you would like to check out the Pew Research Center, they did a whole social media breakdown.
Any other questions for Rex?
Yeah, great presentation. I'm just curious, did this research result in an increase in sales? And I guess if not, what is the point of this? Is it about education?
Great question.
Sales?
So at first, I did want to research whether or not we could correlate this with an increase in sales. However, because the volatile nature of local farming industries changes from season to season, I couldn't necessarily compare how we sell in the winter versus how we sold in the summer when there's a little bit more crops. And I could have looked back to previous winters to see how we were selling, but it was not in the scope of my research. So to answer your second question, we're really focused on just spreading the word and letting people know that we exist and trying to transition them from grocery stores to local food systems.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Of course.
Do you have similar data on seasonal fluctuations in engagement with social media? So I guess I'm wondering, like previous winter, did engagement go up and then down? And I guess how do you know that what you did for them increased the engagement, and it wouldn't have just gone up anyway?
Great question. So he asked, how do I know that what I did resulted in an increase of engagement versus last winter when we saw a decrease? So I pulled the statistics from last winter's engagement rates, and they had plummeted because the local harvests were down, and so there was less food to sell, which directly correlated to less content to post. And so when I came in, I had to get creative and not just post the food that we have, but also just go talk to the customers and ask them why they love our brand. And then I repurposed that content to keep our Instagram alive. And that's how we saw the increase.
Great. Thank you